Hi, this is Stephanie Miller from The Stephanie Miller Show. Please enjoy this exclusive clip from my show on Political Voices Network. It's a clown show. Every time Republicans just embarrass themselves, they're so unnecessarily nasty too. I think it's just I think because of those of us on the left are like, oh my God, nobody would be prosecuted for any of this unless their name, was Biden. So not only is this not a sweetheart deal, it's like, and it still will never be enough for Republicans, right?
Yeah, it was interesting. I don't know if you talked about this, but there was a tweet talking about the gun charge, and they're like, okay, let's charge him. Let's charge him for that, and let's make a law. Yeah. Let's make a law that says, you can't get a firearm if you're trying to get one when you're addicted to drugs, and let the Republicans vote on it.
Call it Hunter's Law. Call it Hunter's Law. Make Republicans. Yeah, exactly. Not to mention that their orange leader was the one. I'm smart about cheating on his taxes, right? That makes me smart, not paying any taxes. I mean, it's just that Hunter Biden should be their hero, right?
At this point, you would think he'd be running for office in the Republican Party, but no, because he's actually a good guy who's just made some bad choices.
Yes. Dana Goldberg, you retweeted Lauren Boebert, who had famously tweeted, "Take your children to church, not drag bars." Did you have any thoughts on that? It's helpful that you'll take a screenshot of that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely don't take him to Broadway shows, because that's where I let my boyfriend feel me up in public. Listen, I don't care that Boebert's getting felt up in public. I don't care that governors are cheating on their spouses. What I care is that they're passing laws and villainizing a community of trans people and drag queens and saying how they're ruining society. And all these people are acting much worse than any person I've ever met behind closed doors, and apparently now in public, where there's children present at a Beetlejuice Broadway show.
Yeah. Oh, and we were saying...
let's talk about whoever decided to make Beetlejuice into a Broadway show should also be in some kind of trouble.
Should also be in prison.
However, I hear it's quite good.
I hear it's quite good, too. It's a fun night at the theater.
We were just saying, as a comedian, you cannot write this stuff, right, that the guy she was playing pocket pool with owns a drag bar. I mean, not a bar that has drag shows.
Absolutely.
The bar owned by the Mancini...
I just don't understand that guy's judgment, to be honest with you. If he owns a bar, allows drag shows, why would you go on a date with Lauren Boebert?
I'll tell you why. Boobies is why. That's why.
Boobies. Jugs.
Yeah. She's got some nice jugs. I gotta say that. So the bar.
If I'm on an airplane and Boebert is sitting next to me and that plane's going down, I'm grabbing onto those flotation devices. I'm not dying in that plane crash.
All of your political principles go right out the window. Booby.
That's right. I'm grabbing onto the boobs in 13C. That's what I'm doing.
13 double C. What? Hey. So the bar owned by the man seen in that aforementioned footage. What was JoJo from Jers's latest thing?
Cob?
Dry rubbing his meat stick.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Good Lord.
All right. Straight girls are adorable. Yesterday she called it shucking your mister's cob. Okay. So the bar owned by, what's his name, has been hit with a wave of negative reviews. Someone said, been there, won't be back. The owner has disreputable friends. The name of the bar, not kidding, Hoochcraft. Cocktail bar.
Stop it.
I'm not kidding. Hoochcraft on Yelp. The owner, they said, is disruptive and disrespectful in public places. TMC reported that Yelp had to disable reviews of the bar due to the influx of negativity. The owner is doinking 36-year-old Grandma Boebert, who has supported an insurrection against America. Oh, dear. And that was her, what excuse was it, Chris? That we were 4 or 5 in.
Right.
That it was because he's a Democrat.
Right.
That's before that she was eccentric, and before that, stress of her divorce.
Yeah.
We were just saying, Dana. What? Yeah. Just imagine if
you were saying, as you were saying. Sorry, there's a little crossover, people. Yeah. Everything's going to be fine.
We've been saying over and over, but you just can't. These are all anti-gay, Christian, conservative, blah blah blah. Can you imagine if that was a gay couple? She would have been the first one on Twitter, right?
Could you imagine if that was AOC? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
They would have torn down the Capitol building until she resigned from her post.
Oh, I mean, AOC dances and they lose their spadoinkle, right? Yeah. I mean, it's
absolutely.
Okay. All right. So
gay couples, we are much more subtle than that, by the way. You would have no idea if we were doing anything in a theater. Thank you very much.
Yes, many of us have practiced hiding for many years, so we're like ninjas.
Yeah, you don't sit in the back row for no reason. Why would you sit in the middle of the theater on the aisle of a row if you were going to feel your boyfriend up in public?
Excuse me. All right, let's have some more Johnson.
Oh, okay.
Okay, from the hearing.
Can you tell us about any briefings or discussions that you personally have had with Mr. Weiss regarding any and all federal investigations of Hunter Biden?
I'm going to say again, I promised the Senate that I would not interfere with Mr. Weiss.
So you have not, I'm just, under oath today, your testimony is you have not had any discussions with Mr. Weiss about this matter?
Under oath, my testimony today is that I promised the Senate I would not intrude in his investigation. I do not intend to discuss the internal Justice Department deliberations, whether or not I had them.
Yeah, and then one last one, Johnson.
Oh, okay, so your testimony today is you're not going to tell us whether you've had discussions with Mr. Weiss?
My testimony today is I told the committee that I would not interfere. I made clear that Mr. Weiss would have the authority to bring cases that he thought were appropriate.
Okay.
Mr. Weiss's
All right.
letter.
Okay, let me stop you.
makes
For a second
clear-
time, sir, are you aware that FBI officials have come before this committee and they have stated that there was a cumbersome bureaucratic process that Mr. Weiss had to go through to bring charges in another judicial district? You know that?
I'm not aware, but that's not true. There's nothing cumbersome about the process.
Okay.
What I'm confused about is,
Yes.
did he promise the Senate anything? Because I don't know if he did. I mean, that's what I'm not clear on. Did he promise the Senate anything 15 times in his testimony?
Yeah, this whole thing it's so ridiculous because it is so clearly overcharging and not the opposite. And it's just that, okay. So there was a piece, Dana, I wanted to ask you about, because I asked Jody this morning, like, where are you with Merrick Garland? Because of course it makes you reflexively want to defend him because they're always such, heads to anybody from the Biden administration that comes and speaks. They just, I love Marjorie Taylor Greene talking about decorum, right? And they're just, it's always a clown show whenever there's these hearings, right? But there was a piece, the Wall Street Journal reported that relations between Joe Biden and Merrick Garland have reached frostiness of polar proportions. It apparently arises from a White House perception that Garland's infatuation with special counsels has gone too far. The Journal reports that Biden aides see Garland's handing off of the inquiries into the Biden family as driven by a punctilious desire to give the appearance that sensitive investigations are walled off from political pressure. The aides have fresh evidence. On Thursday, David Weiss egregiously overcharged Hunter Biden with gun violations. These charges hurt the Justice Department. They hurt all of us by throwing chum to the MAGA feeding frenzy. They are ultimately Garland's responsibility. One can be sympathetic to each of Garland's individual decisions. The sum, however, has caused undeniable damage. I mean, Dana, I guess the way I always put it always feels like we play by different rules, that, we have to seem so above the fray and we want to be fair and yada, yada. I was referencing this morning, this is why the Obama administration didn't do more about Russia, because they thought Hillary's going to win the lands and we don't want to look like we're, being partisan and helping Hillary. And here we are, right? And I just feel like Merrick Garland is trying so hard to be that this is ridiculous. David Weiss has been investigating for 5 years and ended up with this ridiculous overcharging. I
actually agree. I think that the pressure from the right, if you get caught up in the BS on social media about how, it's one-sided and it's so partisan, and then you overcorrect and you're like, okay, well, then we're going to give them something. I don't want to play by that. Yeah. I don't want to play by those rules. Don't give them anything. Who cares what they're saying?
They're going to scream anyway.
The Constitution.
Yeah.
What's that?
I said they're going to scream no matter what you do, the Republicans.
Exactly.
So stop worrying.
And so stop giving them any sort of crumbs, because they won't stop there. And then they're going to take that. They're still going to make Merrick Garland the villain. I don't understand why he doesn't understand that either. Yeah. They're never going to be happy with what he's doing.
Andrew Weissman was talking about the, a special counsel to investigate Biden over classified documents. Well, Merrick Garland knows, like the rest of us know, there is no comparison in the world what he and Mike Pence did and what Trump did with classified documents. So,
absolutely.
But let me just, so this part, why did Garland authorize special counsels to investigate Biden? Plainly, he wanted to demonstrate the Justice Department's independence from the White House, offer the appearance he was treating Trump's case the same as he treated Biden's and Pence's, even though they were nothing alike. This was in keeping with his oversensitivity on this issue since day one. Garland didn't have to go the special counsel route. He could have made the decision over whether or not charges were warranted himself, explaining the differences between Trump's case and that of Biden and Pence. Garland could have emphasized the powerful evidence that Trump obstructed efforts to have national security secrets returned. For Garland, though, that would have meant taking the heat. And again, how much the latest evidence, this Molly, what's her name? I mean, it could not be 180 degrees more different, right?
Yeah, and to be honest, we've all agreed on this. If Hunter Biden committed crimes, he should be prosecuted for them, but it should also be it should be valid stuff. So that's the one thing, but there still is absolutely zero evidence that it's connected to his father. So now they're just smearing this guy for no reason. Like I said, if he committed a crime, he should be prosecuted, but this is definitely a political move. This isn't just prosecuting a civilian because he did something wrong.
Yeah. This, I couldn't agree with this more. Weiss has taken 4 years to come up with an unsuccessful plea agreement. That failure might have been reason to replace him. Instead, Garland promoted him with a special counsel appointment, which put Weiss in a position where he can now only be removed for cause rather than at the discretion of the president. In the background of all this were screams of political favoritism from Fox News and the MAGA Republican House. They claimed the plea agreement had been a sweetheart deal for the president's son. A federal prosecutor's job is to shut out the political noise and do justice. To any dispassionate observer, it looks as if Weiss lacked earplugs. The same could be said of Garland in his decision to appoint Weiss. So then we just talked about them just indicting him on gun charges. At stake here is the Justice Department's commitment to apolitical justice for both sides, including that of the administration which appointed him. These charges simply would never have been brought were it not for the political valence of Hunter being Joe Biden's son. And this is what I mean. It leads to this both sides do it bull, in my opinion.
Absolutely. I think at least what I can see is that the Trump administration left everything in disarray. The White House, the Justice Department, everything was awful. So you have these people coming in trying to clean this up. Well, now there's so much pressure on them to actually do the right thing all of the time. Mm-hmm. They're under pressure that they wouldn't normally be on. There's going to be missteps, and unfortunately, that's what people are going to focus on. There's no way any of them, Joe Biden could do everything right as the president right now after what had happened in the last administration, and there's no way that the DOJ is going to do everything right after Bill Barr. I mean, what he created in the Justice Department to have to come into that position afterwards and not be scrutinized for everything.
Perfect example. They weaponized the Justice Department every day, Dana, and they didn't give a what anybody thought about it. They could care less. They targeted, Trump's enemies willy-nilly with no evidence. They protected, they pardoned, his friends, and could not have cared less. Could not have given a flying what anybody thought. Oh, hi! I'm here with sexy liberal John Fugelsang, wearing my Los Angeles sexy liberal shirt. Oh my God, we have an LA show coming up October 21st, but how else could you see it, John?
How else could you see it? I'm so glad you asked. For a limited time, you can see the show live via pay-per-view if you go to sexyliberal.com. All the laughs, you'll miss nothing.
I can stream it from all around the world?
All around the world, in your car, while you're driving. Watch it at home.
Sexyliberal.com, yeah.